Welcome back to Get Well Soon, the red pill content of Welly F, aka Moriarty. I hope everyone's doing good out there today, and even better than they were the day before. Let's get right to it. Alright, last night I watched the movie Mulan, and to be honest with you, I never really remembered the Disney adaptation that came out, I believe, in 1998. And it's funny because I actually owned the movie, and I know that I watched it. I know that it wasn't a bad film. I know it had more of a Disney energy to it. But the fact of the matter is, this new movie that I watched was more along the lines of, to me, a light-weighted or light-hearted adult action film. I watched the movie based on the controversy that surrounded it, not going to lie. And I really wanted to see if the movie was bad in general. But see, for me, as a person that really wasn't sucked into the Disney nostalgia of it, I just kind of watched the movie with an open mind. I was kind of watching a new story that I didn't really know much about. So therefore, if I was to grade it on that, it was an average film. It wasn't spectacular. The acting wasn't terrible. I mean, it was a solid film. You know, praise to them for having a all Asian cast. You know, praise to them for, trying to bring something to light in a time where people complain about diversity on screen. And I mean, I feel like you finally got it. You got diversity on screen. You had authentic Chinese actors on screen, and they were the ones willing to take these roles. So, in my honest opinion, to me, when I read about the controversy dealing with the Uyghur Muslims that were in concentration camps, the first thought that comes to mind is, this is typical Western white liberal virtue signaling. And that's why I'm here, because I'm going to say this again. In general, the movie was, I would rate it a B-. And to be honest with you, I'll never understand the smear campaign that it's getting, because I don't believe that these white liberals in America or these progressives in America give two fucks about these dark-skinned Muslims in concentration camps in China. I don't believe it. We live in a country where it's pretty much proven that some of our biggest corporations are shoulder to shoulder aligned with China, and some of our biggest corporations are aligned with the Democratic Party. There's so many instances of cognitive dissonance here that I'm confused. It's like, do you guys love China, or do you hate China for being the oppressive communist state that it is? Because China is what China is, and to be honest with you, I look at China as a place where, in order to truly get honest and accurate information from there, you would have to know Chinese. You would have to dive into these Chinese forums, dissect what they're saying, so on and so forth. And with that being said, let me just get to the point. I'm not about to butcher anybody's name, because that's one thing I hate. I've always hated people butcher my first, my last name, all kind of stuff. So I'm just going to sit here and say, well, the main character of this Mulan movie, she was outspoken about the Hong Kong protests that were happening out there. And I just want to remind people, when these protests were happening and the NBA was quiet about it and a few people spoke out against it, the people that spoke out against it were blackballed. But I'm going to repeat myself. The NBA was generally silent about what was going on in China, in my honest opinion. And the people that spoke out against the abuse, they were criticized, because if you speak out against the abuse that is going on in China, that means that you are for a police state. Nobody wants to see police brutalizing people. So it's safe to say that most people come from a mindset of, well, if you're out there doing stupid shit and you're antagonizing police, then you're going to have to deal with the consequences. I had watched that movie, The Trial of Chicago 7, the other day, and it was a poet in that movie that basically said that if you call someone a pig, then you're going to bring the pig out of them. And I think liberals, mainly, I think Americans, I'm going to just go ahead and say, I think Americans that aren't really mentally healthy, I think they kind of forget that name-calling, patronizing, and fucking with people is subject to some type of consequence. The main character in this movie, which they say she's a Chinese American. She's a naturalized Chinese American citizen now, and she lives in Los Angeles. And apparently, when she spoke out and said that she's for the Hong Kong police, she got a lot of praise. So that leads me to believe, to an extent, that people in China, the majority, possibly are for the Chinese police state to a degree. And I'd have to say that most Chinese resident, because they even talked to Jackie Chan about this, and Jackie Chan basically was like, I don't know what y'all talking about. He took the smarter route. This young woman that played Mulan is obviously younger. She doesn't know, when to just let things be. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people that are Chinese residents or of Chinese descent, they took the route of, hey, I don't know what's going on. And others took the route of, if I speak out against this, I know I'm going to be blackballed. This is communist China. I'm not about to sit here and act like communist China is a beautiful place to live. I'm not even going to act like they'd even care about my black ass. The fact of the matter is, like Yao Ming and like a lot of Chinese residents, a lot of them love China. A lot of Chinese people are Chinese nationalists. That's one thing that I've learned about people that come from these other countries that aren't contaminated by Western politics. They're not for the globalization of their countries. Like, they're for their countries. And if you watch the movie Mulan, which once again, it's a solid movie, and in my honest opinion, I could care less about the opinion of this movie from a Chinese American that's been in America since they were born. I'd honestly want to get the opinion of this. I want to talk to somebody from China and get their opinion on this film. A person that was excited about this film, I'd want to talk to them. And don't get me wrong, I'd like to talk to a Chinese citizen that was against this film. But if you're not in China right now, you're not living in China right now, you're not accustomed to Chinese ways since birth, and I mean, like, without the tainting of the Western population, I don't give a fuck about your opinion on this movie from that aspect, because I truthfully believe that your opinion is going to be biased as shit, and it's going to come from a place of virtue signaling. So you can drop off the planet. I could care less about what you say. Long story short, there was a smear campaign against this movie. This movie was meant to be sabotaged from the jump. They used this movie as a way to amplify the virtue signaling that they love to do. And in my honest opinion, I think that the people that spoke out against this movie, especially the white liberals, I think that in the back of their minds, they were just being racist, and they're trying to disguise it as actually being concerned for a group of people that they don't care about. And I'm just going to conclude on this note, just because I feel like I will ramble on for 50 minutes on this subject. You can't trust these liberals in America. They're not to be trusted. You cannot take what they say at any value, because a lot of what they say, it always ends up being a slippery slope. You wanted a movie that showed cultural diversity. You got it. Then all of a sudden you're complaining about it having a white director. You're complaining about it having white screenwriters. Dude, when does it stop? When is enough enough? When is progressiveness too much progressiveness? When can progress say, okay, cool, we've gotten to this point, let's chill? I think this progress makes sense. This is reasonable progress. We've made enough people happy. Let's stop. We've went from pretending that we care about the Chinese government and caring about Chinese representation or whatever, or a cultural diversity, to let's focus on 2 million Uyghur Muslims that were forced to be indoctrinated and blah blah blah. Dude, those 2 million Uyghur Muslims, they're humans. Yes, we should be concerned about them. But what about the other population of China that is existing and living in, and what about their concerns? Because if you're only paying attention to the small minority, what happens to the majority? Like, who matters? And I think that that's the slippery slope with liberals, is they always try to find the smallest group, and they always try to put a megaphone to their mouths and make it seem like they're concerned, when in actuality, it seems like the purpose of the Progressive Party has always been, hey, let's see who the littlest guy is, and let's try to make them Goliath. And in turn, what happens is all you do is reverse the power. Now all of a sudden, you thinking that you're going to turn China into Canada, where in Canada right now, you can celebrate Diwali with no problem, but if you want to celebrate Thanksgiving, you're looked at as a person that has no heart and you're trying to spread COVID. Like, this is what's happening. Like, they're literally trying to take people's countries away from them. I'm telling y'all right now, watch out for the white liberal. Watch out for these progressives in America. They're dangerous. And I'd actually have to say, outside of the fact that there are rumors, or there's rumors, proof, whatever, that the places where this movie was filmed were supposedly Holocaust type concentration camps, which is more cognitive dissonance in itself. Besides that, like, when you hear about these people being put in sweatshops to make Nikes and do things like that, I mean, probably half of them probably make college basketball jerseys. Half the stuff that you're probably laying on probably comes from the hard labor of a Uyghur Muslim that is subject to this bullshit. But trust me, Americans will not stop at any point to not wear this stuff. They will wear it, and they will act like, oh, it's for a good cause. Fuck those people. All I'm saying is, if you're going to be for people, be consistent with your ideology. And one thing I can say about progressives is their ideologies are always destructive. And don't get it twisted. I don't think that conservatives or Republicans are any better. But when it comes to preserving the state of a nation and keeping it going in a healthy and a positive direction, I even from a centrist perspective, I would have to say that I lean more towards the right rather than leaning towards a radical left that has no true aim in conclusion to their actions. I don't even know what the goal is with this sabotaging of a Disney movie that, in my opinion, could have actually inspired something. But I truthfully believe that the anger comes from the fact that there was no homosexuality promoted in this movie. This movie just showed that a woman can be strong and still be feminine. I think that they're mad that this movie was meant to appease Chinese natives, and that's confusing, because if this movie is for China and Chinese people wanted this movie this way, then I don't understand that. But long story short, Mulan was not a bad movie. I even tried to go on Reddit and try to see, what type of perspectives I was gonna get, and just like I expected, Reddit pretty much sabotaged the Mulan subreddit, and I'm gonna put it in the description. It's just hilarious, the effort that big tech and the people behind this wanting to globalize society. Like, it's crazy the effort they put forth towards doing these things, because if you're aware of what's going on, you're either planning out of concern or you're just simply worried and you don't know what to do. And like I said, I've already rambled enough, but check out the movie Mulan, whether you pirate it or watch it on Disney Plus. I wouldn't. It's not worth $30, of course. I mean, if it came to the movies for $8, I'd probably watch it. But if you're not one of those people that are pent up with fake outrage, go check out the movie. I don't think it's terrible. It's so many movies that are filmed that I don't know if it's so many movies that come out to where if you figured out that it was an old slave plantation, you'd be distraught. But I don't think anybody with common sense would really be distraught, because, like, I mean, shit, like, what can you do about that? You probably live on an old slave plantation, man. Anyways, man, enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, enjoy your night, and until we meet again.